Welcome back to some more interesting questions. Thank you for joining me. This video is about 10 pyramids that are just basically not known. They're probably known by people who, such as myself. I would probably know maybe 9 out of 10 of these because I'm kind of into that type of stuff. But this video is just basically about 10 pyramids that are just unknown from Egypt, from the Giza pyramids. I love ancient Egyptian society and culture and so on and so forth. It's very intriguing to me. I love it personally. But this video is just about maybe 10 pyramids that you are not aware of. So I just say without further ado, let's get to the video. But if you like the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it with family and friends. And we'll go ahead and we'll just get straight to the video.
When we think of pyramids, our brains go directly to Egypt. And for good reason. The Great Pyramids have basically upstaged anything else that remotely resembles a pyramid. Some people can't even believe it when they learn that there are other pyramids around the world that are just as amazing and perplexing as Giza. But since the most compelling mysteries are rarely found in one place, stick around until the end to find out which non-Egyptian pyramid might have been used for a very sinister reason.
Shout out to the richest.
Like we just said, when you think pyramids, Egypt is definitely at the top of the list in your mind. And if we ask you to think outside of Egypt, then you might think of countries like Mexico, South America, and other areas known for having similar structures. But have you ever thought about the United States of America being the location of a pyramid? And no, we're not talking about places like Southern California, Texas, New Mexico, or Arizona where they have a close vicinity to Mexico. We're talking about 6 miles away from St. Louis, Missouri in southern Illinois. These mounds were first discovered by French explorers in the 17th century. For years,
it's weird. They just said southern Illinois. I was not aware that there were pyramids there, or mounds, or however they want to describe them. I know that there are pyramids in Ohio. I remember hearing this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm confusing this location with Ohio, but I could have sworn that there were pyramids in Ohio. And maybe she'll get into the pyramids in Ohio in this video, but I could have swore that there were pyramids in Ohio.
The massive mounds were known as the Cahokia Mounds, a name that was chosen in honor of the native tribe that resided in the area at the time. Some of the mounds are nearly 10 stories tall and they're absolutely massive in size. Historians originally thought that the Cahokia people were the ones who created these massive pyramid-like structures in America. But upon further examination, it became apparent that the mounds predated the Cahokia people, who hadn't been there for that long and didn't know where the mounds came from themselves. In the 1800s, geologists still weren't convinced that the mounds were natural formations. Centuries later, after digging into the ground, soil samples showed unnatural material located in different levels of soil, like pieces of poetry, proving that the mounds were indeed made by man. Thus, we have pyramids in America too, built sometime around 600 AD. Right down south of America.
See, we got pyramids in the U.S. that have been dated to 600 AD. So, Christopher Columbus did not discover America. That's a lie. There were people here way before him, and even before tribes. Ancient tribes, Indian tribes, way before him. They are insane. There were people here way before us.
America is Mexico. The Great Pyramid of Cholula is located in San Andres Cholula, Mexico. Also known as the Great Pyramid of Tepanapa, this great structure is believed to boast a larger volume than the pyramids in Egypt. Though it doesn't look like something made by Mother Nature herself, it does look ancient. It was built over 2,000 years ago, and archaeologists and scientists aren't quite sure how this pyramid was made. What puzzles experts the most is that the pyramid features architecture and stylistic elements from both the Teotihuacan and El Tajín civilizations. Of course, the area went through a plethora of regime changes, so it's no surprise that there may be conflicting styles.
Because these structures are probably a lot older than they're giving them credit for. The Younger Dryas period, Graham Hancock, wrote about this in books or whatever. And the Younger Dryas period there was a great flood. The Bible. If you're a religious person, the Bible talks about a great flood. All ancient civilizations speak of a great flood. So these societies were wiped out. They were wiped out, and their structures probably still exist. And they're all over the planet. They're in Mexico. They're in Central America. They're in Japan. They're all over the place. They're in the Middle East. They're everywhere. They're all over the place. And this is actually even credence to that this structure might be 2,000 years old, but it's probably a lot older than that.
Surrounding the pyramid. However, experts are uncertain as to why the pyramid became covered in shrubbery and forestry. Some think the pyramid was discarded and other structures were used instead for sacrifices, religious ceremonies, and more. Others think that when word came that the Spanish were coming, the locals buried the pyramid in dirt in order to hide it. Either way, there are some mysteries we might.
They really spent all that time burying the pyramid in dirt. The locals probably didn't even know about the pyramid. It was probably buried. And it was unearthed. That's probably what ended up happening. That's what I'm saying is it just, I'm not blaming the person who's narrating the video, but I'm just saying is the structure was probably already under dirt. And it was discovered. So they go, oh, well, why do we have to unearth it? Maybe the locals, And they may have found bits and pieces of it themselves. Look, it is what it is.
Never solve. On top of the pyramid is an old Spanish chapel that is perfectly perched on the summit. North America isn't the only place that's making people scratch their heads. For this next one, we'll need to cross an entire ocean. In 2017, archaeologists unearthed something truly incredible in Zhengzhou in the Henan province of China. A pyramid-shaped tomb with a cylindrical coffin was discovered under a construction site, and it has truly baffled experts as to where it came from. We do know that the famous pyramids in Egypt were used as tombs for pharaohs and other important figures. Given how elaborate this tomb is, someone pretty important must have been laid to rest there. It's believed the tomb could be thousands of years old, specifically from the Han Dynasty. This particular dynasty was considered to be China's golden age, so the historical significance of this tomb is critical. The tomb is only about 6 feet tall, but China and the locals around the area still consider the discovery something that is truly magical. There's still a lot of mysteries surrounding this pyramid tomb, and time will only be able to unravel them through further study. But if you think we've reached the limit on the endless mysteries of pyramids in China, we have another pyramid up our sleeve. If we didn't just tell you that it was in China, you'd probably think that this next pyramid was used by the Mayans. The area of Shimao was discovered to date back to the Bronze Age, yet historians don't know exactly what happened in the area. They don't even know the original name of the city. They are still slowly.
There we go. Similarities that date back to a certain level. Like, well, it kind of looks like Mayan, or oh, this kind of looks Egyptian, or this kind of looks, because there was a society that had probably existed 10, 12, 13,000 years ago that experienced these things. Like it existed.
Putting the pieces together. What we do know is this: there is a massive pyramid that is about 230 feet high and covers 59 acres of land. The recently excavated city is about 4,300 years old, and there are a few hints all over the pyramid as to what took place there. For example, drawings on the pyramid feature half-human, half-animal creatures, kind of like the covers of those classic Animorphs books from the 90s. The city is believed to have been the largest in the world in its heyday, but the pyramid may have housed more sinister business. A number of remains from human sacrifices were discovered in Chimao. Say goodbye to China because we're off to another country. Located in Rome, Italy, the Pyramid of Cestius is in good company when it comes to historically significant structures. It was built during the reign of Emperor Augustus sometime between 18 and 12 BC, which was very close to the time that Rome was obsessed with all things Egypt. You could say that Rome was caught up in an Egypt fad. Interestingly enough, this pyramid was literally almost erased from history. We know it was built as a tomb for a wealthy Roman citizen by the name of Gaius Cestius. The tomb itself was ransacked before it was discovered by archaeologists. So not much is known about Cestius or what society was like at the time the pyramid was built. It sits about a...
How did they not know about it if it was like in the middle of like Rome? Like what? Like look at the structure behind that to the left. How did you not know that was there? Like it's 120 feet high. They're like, oh, we don't know. People ransacked it, and people didn't know what's where about. Like, I mean, that would stick out like an eyesore, in my opinion.
120 feet high, and you can see that it has a much sharper angle than the pyramids of Egypt. Historians think this is because there may have been incorrect information exchanged while trying to emulate the Egyptian pyramids. Or maybe they were trying to emulate the sharper Nubian pyramids in Sudan, which we'll get to later. The significance of the pyramid was pretty much forgotten completely, with rumors swirling during the Middle Ages about it being a memorial to one of the two founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus. This pyramid was restored in the 1600s, in 1999, and then again in 2015. Today, the pyramid stands on the corner of a busy intersection. There are tours available, and you can even visit the small burial chamber inside. Let's head back over to Mexico now to talk about a literal...
Weird. No, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, I mean, obviously, someone in ancient Rome was obsessed with pyramids. But that's just odd. I don't know. It's kind of weird that they had someone build that.
City of pyramids known famously as Teotihuacan. Not much is known about the city that is believed to have...
On my bucket list, by the way, Teotihuacan is on my bucket list. I gotta go there. I have to go there. It's on the bucket list.
Flourished a population of over 200,000 people. While we know that temples in Mexico were mainly built by the Aztecs or the Mayans, we don't know who built Teotihuacan for sure. The city is built like a grid that spans about 8 square miles with...
Ancient Flood Society. We're not certain who built it. Ancient Flood Society.
Major monuments constructed within it. The site is now one of the most popular tourist sites in Mexico. In 2003, a heavy rainstorm created surges of water that swept away tourist stands and merchandising stations. A sinkhole also appeared, and archaeologists wondered just how this was going to be fixed. It wasn't even believed that there was anything under the temples, but the rainstorm proved them wrong. Archaeologists went underground and were shocked to find a secret underground chamber. This is something that could possibly shed light and maybe solve more mysteries of the city. How could we not have information on something so massive and so big? Hopefully, the chamber will help us to further tell the story of this once great city. Speaking
Yeah, I remember reading about that like a couple of years ago, and they were saying that there's this subterranean chamber underneath Teotihuacan, the massive, the main pyramid that's there. But I haven't heard much about it since. If you guys have, leave a comment below because I haven't heard much about it.
Speaking of places that are shrouded in mystery, let's head on over to England. When we think of mysterious historical sites in the area, we tend to think about Stonehenge, which isn't a pyramid. But not too far from that site is a large man-made mound that is made of chalk and clay. The Silbury Hill is part of the same UNESCO historic site as Stonehenge, yet the stones sort of upstage this historic mound. It's about 131 feet high, making it one of the tallest man-made structures in Europe until the Middle Ages. But why would people of that time need a pyramid-like structure that was so high? Well, that is the mystery. Just how Stonehenge remains a mystery, Silbury Hill seems to be doomed to the same fate. The hill is over 4,500 years old. Experts suggest that it could have possibly taken 500 men 15 years to construct it. That equals to
I wasn't aware that that structure even existed in England. And I'm an archaeologist, like buff. Like I know all kinds of stuff about archaeology, but I was not aware that that structure even existed. That's kind of mind blowing to me.
about 18 million man-hours, which is kind of crazy to think about. Historians have compared the mound to the pyramids in Egypt. There's even speculation that Silbury Hill actually predates the Egyptian pyramids. Speaking of the
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy concept. Silbury Hill, I've never even heard of that before. Didn't even know it existed. So, interesting question is, we gotta do a video on Silbury Hill. Did not know that existed. So I gotta put that on my podcast bucket list for you and me. Like, so we can watch it together.
The Egyptian pyramids, in 1500 BC, Egypt conquered all of Nubia. With this in mind, it's not surprising that there are Egyptian influences found around the Sudanese desert. What is truly interesting is that Nubia has more than 255 pyramids. You're probably thinking, what's the big deal? Well, let's take a look at the timeline. The timeline of when Nubia's pyramids were built was about 500 years after the last pyramid in Egypt was built. Considering that Egypt and Nubia had some tension, it's curious to see Nubia building structures that are similar to those of their oppressors and conquerors. These pyramids are significantly smaller than their Egyptian counterparts. They are also steeper in height. How these pyramids survived the treacherous Sudanese desert is nothing short of remarkable. Sadly, they have fallen to ruin, so it can be hard to picture just how magnificent these structures were when they were in their
Yeah, that would have been amazing to be there in that time to see all those structures. Like, I mean, people put effort. Like, there was effort put into these objects. But I mean, people didn't have TV, and didn't have social media, didn't have stuff. So they put time into these structures. And I mean, like, if this picture is a depiction of just how it looks, is they didn't have these forms of entertainment that we have today. We have distractions all around us. They're there to distract us too. Keep that in mind.
prime. Not much research has been put into the pyramids. What we do know is that the area is named El Kuri, and it is believed that Nubian royalty was buried within these pyramids. But beyond that, people in the 21st century are now taking an interest in them again, so their mysteries may be solved in the future. Since we're talking about mysteries, it can also be fun to talk about unfounded claims when it comes to pyramids. In 2005, a man named Sam Osmanagic claimed that he discovered
I believe this is in Turkey. They're gonna go to Turkey right now. He believes it's like the largest pyramid in the world. And they're like, no, it's a mountain. But he's saying it's the largest pyramid in the world. I'm just gonna make a prediction right now. We'll see how it pans out.
the largest and oldest civilization in the world. Just where was it exactly? Was it in Egypt, South America, Japan, China? Nope. He was near Visoko, Bosnia. He believed that he found the remains of an ancient civilization that existed about 12,000 years ago. What is even more interesting is that Sam
Yeah, I was wrong. Now it hits me now. It's Bosnia. Yes. Originally it was in Bosnia. I don't know why it said Turkey, but I was thinking of like Baalbek or something. But yeah, obviously it's Bosnia. Excuse me.
claims that he found pyramids that were built by the Europeans. When you look at photos of the Valley of the Pyramids, you can see several hills that bear a striking resemblance to pyramids. At the time, people jumped on board with his claims, with many volunteering to help excavate. Even the Bosnian government was on board since it would bring a boost in tourism. Nearly 1 million people have visited the site since Sam made his claims. However, experts and historians weren't totally believing Sam's claims, and even wrote an open letter saying that the whole thing was a hoax. While Sam didn't have much to support his claims, he very much believes in them.
Tourism is important. And bringing tourists in, when it comes to tourism, is very important. So it's always about money, people. Remember that.
Still, some people in the area, which was riddled with war and other treacherous things, embrace and believe in the significance of these so-called pyramids. For our last pyramid in this video, we're going to take a trip to Japan and hang out on the south side of Yonaguni Island. Being one of the Yaeyama Islands, Yonaguni-jima hosts several submerged structures that are remnants of a lost Japanese city. The area was first discovered by divers in 1986 and has remained at the center of controversy ever since. You could say it's their Atlantis. The city is believed to have been sunk by an earthquake about 2,000 years ago. According to marine geologists, the sunken city is about 5,000 years old. One such geologist, Mr. Kimura, has been studying the area for over 20 years, and each day he's more convinced that the structures were man-made. One of the biggest structures is a monolithic stepped pyramid that looks like it was about 82 feet tall before the city fell. There are other formations around the area that indicate there was once a city, but not all geologists are on board with Kimura's claims. Some say that since the pyramid was made of sandstone, which is known to break off along plains resulting in straight edges, that these formations are natural. However, others believe Kimura's claims. Since the structure is underwater, further investigation is complicated.
Hope you guys liked this video. Thank you for joining me. It was fun. I enjoy watching these videos with you guys and giving my 2 cents in these videos. If you like the video, please like it, subscribe, or leave a comment below. Leave a comment below. Give me your opinions on what you think about these structures. I think they're pre-flood. I think a lot of these structures are pre-flood. I think there was a massive flood. I think there's a lot of indications that point towards it. It's even biblical. Like I said, it's in the Bible. The Bible talks about a great flood. And their societies. I believe ancient Chinese societies and in India, Hindu societies, they speak of a great flood. So something happened. Their depolarization, whatever you want to call it, something happened. But, I'm going to leave it off with this. Is the peace sign. And peace and love to all you guys out there. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the next video.